Hello, America. This is Call of Duty Goddess. Today is June the 25th, 2016. I am at True News here at the YouTube, and I want to thank a couple of people, Kathleen and Neo, I believe it was, for bringing this to my attention. Thank you very much. I looked into it. I really didn't want to, but I did, because curiosity just freaking killed me. And I hope I can answer some questions and hopefully we can settle this or maybe find more questions to ask about it. So I don't want to do any kind of copyright infringement. So what I'm going to do is just tell you a little bit. In this little interview clip, they were talking about all the 911 calls between midnight and 3 a.m. all over Florida had disappeared, and that the FBI put a gag order on, I believe, the police or sheriff or something like that. And, you know, it's a pretty big deal. And I haven't checked into that, and I'm not going to, frankly. But anyway, they were talking about Judge Napolitano. This was from Fox News, and it was on June the 20th, and this is what they're talking about.
How many omissions were there? Were there one? Well, then it could explain that one-off scenario that they originally talked about.
It's impossible to tell.
This was not a one-off.
Right. These are in two parts. There's an actual transcript, and then there's a summary of the rest. Here's what's news in the summary. Nobody died until 5:13 in the morning when the SWAT team entered. Prior to that, no one had been killed. The 53 that were injured and the 49 that were murdered all met their fates at the time of and during the police entry into the building.
Okay, that's some pretty scary words he said there. Nothing happened until after the FBI came in the building. That's very inflammatory, extremely inflammatory. And that was from the 20th. Now, I'm at an article from The Blaze. They were trying to rewrite history, it's titled. Judge Napolitano bashes DOJ over Orlando 911 transcripts. And that's from June the 21st, 2016. One day after the recording that you heard previously to this was done. So we're going to scroll on down here to a video and we'll listen to that. Okay, I think it might either straighten things out or it'll give us a lot more questions. So again, thank you, Kathleen and Neo.
Let's get to the Orlando terror attack. That's what it was. The Department of Justice released the unedited version of the 911 transcripts from the Orlando terrorist. They received public backlash for leaving out the government's references to ISIS. All rise, Judge Napolitano is here. So finally we find out exactly what the gunman said.
Yes.
And the Attorney General has reversed herself.
Yes.
Does she have any credibility left?
Well, she has very little credibility. The Justice Department has seriously compromised its own credibility, not only by redacting al-Baghdadi's name and by translating Allah into God, thereby leaving out the word Allah. Everybody knows that's a rational translation, and everybody would know what it meant if they left the word in there. It is apparent that they were trying to rewrite history. They were trying to sanitize this so as to give us, the American people, a different impression from what actually happened.
They're trying to hide the truth.
Yes.
The truth was there was an Islamic component to that man who killed those people.
Absolutely. Now, they have no obligation at this stage of the investigation to release this. But if they do release it, they have an obligation to release a complete and truthful version of it. But not only did they redact, they summarized events. And they summarized those events improperly. Yesterday, they told us in the summary, this is in the very same document as the redaction.
Right.
Yesterday, they told us in the summary that no shots were fired between the initial encounter between the killer and two police that were there and the breach 5 hours and 12 minutes later. And from that, we reported that the killings occurred at the time of the breach.
Correct.
Last night, Megyn Kelly interviewed two survivors who said they spent 3 hours hovering on a bathroom floor bleeding from their gunshot wounds. So, in fact, there had been shots fired at people in the bar, in the club, by the gunman at a time other than when the FBI told us yesterday it had happened.
So the Attorney General's summary was inaccurate.
Correct.
And we didn't find out accurately what had happened until way after, when we got the final results.
Correct. So the document itself is a tragic effort by the government to sanitize history, to remove the Islamic references, and then to remove a truthful understanding of what happened. How could these girls have been hovering on the floor of the bathroom, bleeding from bullet wounds, for 3 hours, if nobody was shot until 5 o'clock? It doesn't make sense.
The Attorney General says that all decisions amounting to those transcripts, what was left out and put back in again, all of those decisions were taken entirely by the Justice Department. In other words, it wasn't President Obama who ordered us to do that.
Well, I don't know about that, but it had to be her who changed her mind, because she told Chris Wallace on Sunday, I'm going to release the transcripts tomorrow. They're going to be transcripts. You're not going to actually hear his voice, and we're going to redact them. That's what she said on Sunday. On Monday morning, they were released. People like you and I and many of us, all across the political spectrum, all across the United States, it was an uproar. The Justice Department changed its mind 5 hours later. Who changed their mind? Would have to have been done with the approval of at least the Attorney General, yes, and perhaps the White House.
All right, Judge, you make your point. Thank you very much indeed, sir. We'll see you later.
So, I'm thinking, but this is just me, why would the DOJ scrub and sanitize these reports? Hello, what have I been doing all these videos on? But hey, that's just me. I've read their book. I can't help but feel that way. I know what it says in their book. That's why I'm trying to read pieces of it to you so you understand what it says. And hey, maybe I'm wrong. If I am, thank the Lord in heaven. But the DOJ, the FBI, the CIA, they've all been made Sharia compliant. And I'll do a couple videos and show you how, if you'd like. Let me know what you want me to do. I can do that. So, anyway, this is Call of Duty Goddess signing off, and as always, I've got your 6.